buy a striker, it looks like it's going to be Michy Batshuayi or Hwang 2.0. And look, I'm not going to lie, on bullshit. A lot of people say I'm overly positive and just defend the club and everything. I think both of these are pretty bad. Like, whichever it is, whether it's Batshuayi on loan or we pay the 5 million that apparently Bordeaux want for Hwang, I think this is a really underwhelming signing. I think people are getting just excited about the fact we're buying someone for the sake of it. Go back to the season didn't finish long ago. Go back 3 months. Everyone was saying about Raul Jimenez. He's finished. Fabio Silva looks better than him. We need a new number 9. Blah, 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 blah. And then Fabio went out on loan. And everyone's starting to get desperate. And now all of a sudden, everyone's being like, oh yeah, Hwang would be a great signing. I've watched him loads. He's great. Oh, Batshuayi's brilliant. And it's just, look, I'm not saying they're useless. I'm not saying if we sign Hwang or Batshuayi, they'll be bad. I don't think either of them are terrible players. I think if they went to Forest, I'd be like, that's an interesting little pickup. If they went to, I don't know, Bournemouth, I'd be like, that's an interesting little signing. But first of all, this goes against everything Wolves have ever done in their history. Apart from maybe Marçal, I can't really think of a signing that's just blatantly a stopgap. And I will admit I was a bit harsh on Hwang. Like, I tweeted this and it was a bit over the top. I'm not going to lie, I will admit that. But we need a new striker who's actually going to be here for a while. What's the point in buying a stopgap? Even if Fabio does really well at Anderlecht, Bruno Lage clearly doesn't rate him. Let's be honest, that's not bullshit. He clearly doesn't rate him that much. He barely played him last season, even though he's clearly better than Raul Jimenez in a lot of metrics. And on the eye test, by the way. So we need a striker now. We need one for next year as well. Even if Fabio comes back and scores 15 goals, do you really think he's going to be our starter next season? No. And the two guys we're being linked with that are serious now are both stopgaps. Like, look, I'm not slagging off Hwang, the new Hwang. He's fine. He's useful. He's, you don't score 11 goals for Bordeaux or finish bottom of the league if you're useless. He's not useless. He's fine. But there's nothing else there. Like, he doesn't press. He's really bad in the air. His link-up plays all right. Like, he can clearly hold on to the ball. Like, he has a pretty above average pass completion rate considering he's playing in a shit side. And look, I'm not saying Hwang couldn't come in and adapt and be great. Of course he could. Like, he's put up decent numbers at Bordeaux in terms of just goals. He has, but so's Teemu Pukki at Norwich. I wouldn't want Teemu Pukki at Wolves. I think people are underestimating where we are. We're a top 10 Premier League club. We're a big club. We've got a lot of money. I know it ended last season pretty badly, but we do have a good squad and we do have a good manager and we are a big club. And all of a sudden, everyone's accepting a guy. First of all, as well, all we've heard is Wolves want a target man. And look, maybe that's not true, but that's kind of the impression I've got from the links and what Bruno said at the end of last season. And like, I had some guy on Twitter trying to beef me and telling like, Hwang's not. I said Hwang was bad in the air, and he was like, "You haven't even watched Bordeaux, mate. You're chatting shit." And like, yeah, I haven't. I haven't watched Bordeaux. But if you go on his FB ref, he's winning 0.4 aerial duels. If you go on SofaScore and look at his aerial wins, where is it? Aerial duels won that season just gone 0.4. If you look at the season before, I think it's on 0.7. 0.9 aerial wins. And then the season before that, by the way, this is a striker who played the majority of their games in a one-striker formation. And Bordeaux played the 6 most long balls last season in Ligue 1. So it's not like they don't play the ball in the air. 0.7. And by the way, just for context, Raul Jimenez won 1.9, I think. Yeah, 1.9 aerial wins. All I heard last season is Raul Jimenez can't head the ball anymore. He's not good in the air, blah, blah, blah. So first of all, if we're buying a striker purely to be a target man, Hwang isn't that anyway. And neither is Michy Batshuayi, by the way. Like in Turkey last season, obviously at Besiktas, obviously they're a much more ball-dominant side, but won 1.2. And none of their other numbers pop either. So if Wolves do want a target man, and that's what Wolves want, neither of these to me fit the purely target man thing. And look, Hwang's not. Let me make this clear again, because I do admit I went a bit overboard on Twitter. I'm not saying Hwang is useless. I'm not saying he can't come in and get like 6 or 7 goals. But buying a 29-year-old who's played in Ligue 1 for 3 years and put up okay numbers in terms of goal scoring, the odds of him coming in and being like a good enough striker to get us like 7th or 8th, I think it's very, very unlikely. And I saw someone on Twitter was telling me he's such a good finisher, like he's blah blah blah. But bro, the guy missed 15 big chances last season. Like, I just don't see it. I'm not saying he's useless, and if we sign him, I'll go a bit more in depth in it. But to me, I just don't see Hwang coming in and being the striker we need. I don't think he'll be better than Raul Jimenez. And if Wolves don't want that, fine. If Wolves just genuinely just want to buy a stopgap, then fine. I'm sure he'll be all right. I'm sure he'll come in and score 5 goals in 2,000 minutes and be fine. But this isn't going to change anything. And I'd rather Wolves take a punt on, hell, even if it's just a young player who's put up some decent underlying numbers and Wolves take a punt on it, I'd rather Wolves do that than just buy some 29-year-old who's probably not got much progression, personally. And with Michy Batshuayi, I don't hate Michy Batshuayi. I don't. He's just come off a good season in Turkey, obviously. But with Batshuayi, he's just one of those players where every season everyone goes, "Oh, Batshuayi's back," and then he's terrible again. Like, even if you just look at his career, obviously he got that breakthrough at Chelsea, didn't work out. Went to Dortmund, was great. Went back to Chelsea and Valencia, was crap. Then he had a good spell at Palace. He played 750 minutes under Hodgson, got 5 goals. That's pretty impressive. Then he went back to Chelsea and was crap. Went back to Palace and was crap. And now he's put up good numbers in Turkey as a 29-year-old. And the thing I don't mind about Batshuayi as much is it's on loan, so it's less risky. Like Wolves, apparently Wolves have bid like 4 million for Hwang, and Bordeaux won about 7 or something. So it'll probably end up being 5, right, or 6 or something. I'd rather Wolves got Batshuayi on loan, and he's out of contract next year as well. So if he is good, you can just get him on a free. I'd rather Wolves got Batshuayi on loan than Hwang personally for like 6 million. But even then, like it's so unambitious, it's so boring, and like. Even Nathan Collins technically isn't the most ambitious starting centre-back or anything, but at least there's potential there, at least there's upside, at least there's a chance to increase his value, at least there's something to be excited about. Buying a guy who kind of just finishes and holds the ball up okay for Bordeaux, and he's about to turn 30, for me doesn't excite me. And buying a guy who's basically just become a journeyman and Chelsea are desperate to get rid of and no one wants, again, to me, that's not exciting. I'm not saying they don't have their uses, and I'm not saying there won't be some good things about them. I'm not saying they won't score a few goals. I'm sure if you stuck any striker at Wolves with Gibbs White, Neto and Benitez, they'll score some goals. But if Wolves want to kick on and improve on 10th, which is, I think, what everyone wants, are they that much of an improvement on Raul Jimenez? Even if they are, it's not going to be by much, is it? And let's be honest, as soon as Jimenez comes back, Hwang or Batshuayi aren't big enough or good enough in the eyes of the club, in my opinion, to drop Raul Jimenez for. So we'll just be in the same position again in a year. Let's say we buy Hwang permanently, and he comes in and gets 7 goals or something. Because let's be honest, he's probably not going to get 11 or 12 in his first season in the Premier. Let's say he gets 7. That'd be an okay return for a £6 million player. Let's say Fabio Silva comes back on loan from Anderlecht. Then what are you going to do? Because you're not going to sell Raul Jimenez. Fabio Silva won't be starting over Hwang or Jimenez because he's senior. So then you just have to loan out Fabio again, or sell Hwang or Jimenez, which isn't going to happen anyway. I don't really see what the plan is. At least with Nathan Collins, for example, you can see where the clubs see that back four going. They see it with Kilman and Collins. They'll phase Cody out. They'll use Bolly as a stopgap, and they'll try and develop Yesson and Totti Gomez. I understand the planning. With this, it just feels like Fosun don't want to put money in to buy a decent striker. So let's just go and get some like semi-tall guy for like a cheap fee who just hope do a job. And that's something Wolves have never done apart from Marcel, and even then that was because Johnny did his ACL. This is just my opinion. I'm not saying Hwang's terrible. I'm not saying I'm some expert on him. I'm not saying I'm guaranteeing he'll be terrible. I'm just speaking about me as a fan. I think it's really underwhelming. I think it's really boring. Look, it's not happened yet. If it is, then I'll do it in more detail. But for me, this is just really boring. It's unambitious, and I can't really see any scope for it getting better. And I'm very positive about Fosun and the club. You know, the amount of times I get called a happy clapper or something on Twitter, like, I'm not someone that moans about the club a lot. But I can understand why people would moan about this. It's just so unambitious. And look, maybe if Wolves go and spend 40 million on Nunez and go and get some fullback cover, then maybe you could look at it and go, you know what, we'll bring in Batshuayi on loan. Fabio will come back next season, and we'll, at least our midfield and centre-back will be solved. And let's say we keep Gibbs White and Neves, maybe. But right now, from the information we have, we haven't bought midfield yet, and we've only bought in Nathan Collins. So for me, right now, I just think this is really fucking underwhelming. That's just my opinion. Feel free to tweet me and tell me if I'm chatting shit. But that's just my opinion. I don't see anything in Hwang or Batshuayi to make me think they're going to come in and change anything. They'll just be a stopgap. It just feels like Willian Jose again, all over again. That's just my opinion. Feel free to tweet me and tell him I'm chatting shit. If you enjoyed, subscribe to the channel, like the video, and yeah, peace.